What's up, everybody? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel, and it's time for another episode of What's Spinning, where we're basically just going to look at the stuff that I've been listening to over the last few weeks, the last month, give or take. First of all, in the background, we're listening to one of the newest releases from Rox Records. This is The Evil House from the band Malchus. From what I understand, this is a re-recording of the album. They're a Polish band. I believe all of their prior albums have been in Polish, including this one, and they went ahead and re-recorded it in English for Rox Records. It's a really killer album. I'm really digging it. Definitely worth checking out. I'll put a link down below where you can pick this one up if you're interested. I really love the artwork on it too. So let's just kind of jump in. This is one I picked up a couple weeks ago. I'm just trying to fill out my my Sabotage collection. I had this one back in the day. This is Edge of Thorns by Sabotage. Sadly, this was the last of their albums with Chris Oliva. I don't know the right way to say his name. He was an amazing guitarist, though, and he really was a loss to the metal community. He was killed in a car accident. Killer album, though, especially the title track. Really dig this album, and it was really good to pull this one out and give it a spin after not hearing it for a good 10 years or so. Really glad I ran across this one and highly recommend picking that one up. And I mean, let's be honest, if you pick up anything from Sabotage, you're going to be happy with it. This next one I took a chance with. I had heard of this band before. They're a folk metal band. Folk metal is not really something that I'm into, but it was on sale for $1.50, so I figured, what the hell, I'll try it out. I threw it in, and it's just really good, straight up metal. I really dug it. So then I'm looking online because I knew that this was a folk metal band, and it turns out that they decided to shift their sound more to a traditional metal sound. It's just the direction they wanted to go, and they lost so many fans that they went back to their folk metal sound. So this is the only album of theirs that sounds like this, from what I understand. But this is Grime vs. Grandeur from Falconer, and I highly recommend checking this one out. I wish that they would have stuck with this sound. It's just really good heavy metal. You can definitely hear the Priest influence in here. From what I understand, it's one of their favorite bands. Killer album. Next one. This is a band that I've known about forever. I've never really given them a chance. I've never wanted to give them a chance, to be perfectly honest. But again, this was $1.50 at one of the used stores that I go to, so I grabbed it. This is the self-titled album from Halestorm. It's alright. I wouldn't really call it metal. It's basically Kelly Clarkson songs with heavy riffing behind it. I have nothing against the band. It's alright. I won't listen to this again. I'll probably never buy anything from them again, but I don't have a problem with pop metal or pop hard rock, but honestly, I think Kelly Clarkson does it better. So, Halestorm. Next up, this is an all-time favorite of mine. This is a favorite band. I've got this on vinyl. I used to have it on cassette. I finally picked it up on CD. This is Beg to Differ from Prong. Just a killer album. And this is just them progressing. They progressed a little bit with each of their albums, and they just do such a great job on this album. You know, The Cleansing gets so much attention because of Snap Your Finger, Snap Your Neck, but and it's a great album. I love that album, don't get me wrong, but this one just gets overshadowed, and if you like The Cleansing, you definitely need to check out this album. And you can usually find this one used for pretty cheap. Next up, this is one that I didn't know existed, and I really dig it. I don't know how I missed this. because this is one of my favorite punk slash rockabilly bands out there. This is Mainliner from Social Distortion. And apparently this is all stuff that they wrote back in '81 that was never, or that didn't get released on any of their albums. Now, a couple of these songs were re-recorded for their first 2 albums, but and a few of these were B-sides, but other than a couple of B-sides, these are all different recordings of those songs that were released. So some great stuff on here, though. Definitely recommend checking this one out if you're a fan of Social Distortion. Again, that's Mainliner, Wreckage from the Past. And this is their earliest recordings. These are from '81. So this next one, I've always loved the band's early stuff, but I never checked out any of their later albums. And I believe this is the first album with Robert Lowe on vocals. But this is the Doom Metal Masters, Candlemas. And in saying that, I should probably mention this isn't really a doom metal album. There's a couple of doomy songs on here, but this is more traditional metal. Regardless, I love it. This album kicked ass, and I'm kind of kicking myself for looking past them after all these years. I stopped buying any of their stuff that was released past the mid-90s, I guess. So, you know, I haven't listened to anything of theirs that they've released in the last 20 years or so. And I was definitely missing out because this album is awesome. Again, this is Death Magic Doom. Highly recommend grabbing this one. Next up, this is a band that most of you have probably never heard of. Really good band, though. I can't remember off the top of my head where they're from. I want to say they're Scandinavian. But this is Drain, STH. They were simply called Drain in Europe. There was already a band called Drain here in the U.S., so they added the STH to it here in the U.S. I don't remember what I used to know what the STH stood for. This is their second album. I didn't know that this existed. Their first album was really critically acclaimed. They got a bunch of awards. They got a bunch of radio play. They were basically a female version of Alice in Chains. Their writing wasn't as good, but their playing was exceptional. And actually, when their first album came out, their lead single, I thought was an Alice in Chains song, or an unreleased song, and was blown away to find out that it wasn't them. A lot of critics said that this album was much better than their first. I would tend to disagree. I like their first album better. This one's a little bit more focused, and they kind of have their own sound. This is not as Alice in Chainsy, I guess, but it's still a cool album. This, I can't remember, Maria, I believe her name is, right here. Shortly after this, she met a gentleman by the name of Tony Iommi, and shortly after that, they got married, and they're married to this day. So that's Mrs. Iommi right there. By that time, she had already left the music business. She was no longer in a band, but still a good album. Again, not as good as I believe their first one was called Horror Wrestling, and off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But again, I had never seen this, so when I saw it, I went ahead and grabbed it, and I wasn't disappointed. It's a good album. And it just may be that I connected with their first album so much back in the mid-90s when it came out, and that's why I like that one better than this one, but still a solid album. Next up, I'll just show this one real quick. I've already talked about this in one of my vinyl updates as I picked this up on vinyl. This is the Concrete Confessional, the new album from Hatebreed. Hatebreed is just one of those bands that to me can't do any wrong. I've liked everything that they've put out. If you're not familiar with Hatebreed, Hatebreed is more of a New York hardcore band with that metal sound behind them. They are what or metalcore originally was when it came out back in the 90s, not the screamo shit that it turned into a few years later. Killer album though, and the main reason I bought this on CD was, number one, to have it in my car, but when I ordered the LP, it came with a signed CD booklet, so I'll be swapping this one out with the signed copy. Next up, man, this is one of my, I think one of the best bands of the last 10 years or so, and they keep getting better and better with each album. This is Magma, the new album from Gojira, and they're playing here in about a week or so, and I'm hoping I can put aside the money so I could go see them, because I really want to see these guys live. They've kind of gotten away from the melodic death metal, and they're moving more and more towards the progressive metal sound. And I love the direction they're going, beginning to end. I love this album. I can't get enough of it. This has been spinning non-stop in my car. Actually, I accidentally bought a second copy the day after I bought this one. I found them both used for cheap. So one of you guys out there will be getting a copy of this in the mail pretty soon. Next up, a bunch of people have shown this. I've actually had this for 3 or 4 months. It's just been a while since I've done one of these What's Spinning. This is Origins Volume 1 from Ace Frehley. I was kind of disappointed. I was all set up to go see him live on his tour for this. He was playing here in town. I was going to do the, it was a $150 meet and greet, and you got signed copies of this album, of his was it Space or Intruder, or whatever his newest album is other than this one. Signed copies of those, a signed copy of his book. You got to do a meet and greet with photos, and then you could bring in 2 things for him to sign, 2 non-guitar things for him to sign. So I was going to go do that, and then I found out that the concert was the day that my wife and I were leaving for Brazil, and we couldn't change that, obviously, so I ended up missing it. So hopefully I catch him next time around. But this is Origins Volume 1. This is a kind of his influences, and you've got a little bit of everything here. He even does some Santana. You got Magic Carpet Ride, you got Wild Thing, he does Cold Gin, Fire and Water, Spanish Castle Magic. Spanish Castle Magic is probably one of the better ones on here in my opinion. I like it. It's not great. There's a couple really good songs on here. He does some unexpected ones, you know. Spanish Castle Magic's a great example of that. Of all the Jimi Hendrix songs that he could have done, that's not one that most people do when they're putting together these tribute albums. But still a great album. Next, this one really blew me away. I really like this album. This is Amon Amarth. I just recently got into this band, I would say within the last 5 or 6 years. Actually, I was just listening to, when did this one come out? 2006. So this is when I got into them. This is With Odin on Our Side. I picked this one up about a year after it came out. So 2007, so I guess I've been into it for about 10 years now. But this is their newest album. This album kicks ass. I love this album, beginning to end. It is, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's a concept album, and just really cool. It's called Jom's Viking or Yom's Viking. Highly recommend checking this one out. And they're another band that I haven't heard anything from them that I didn't like. And I wouldn't generally consider myself a Viking metal fan, but man, they just do it the right way. Next up, we have the Purple album from Whitesnake. I haven't watched the DVD yet. I need to go ahead and check that out, though. But it's basically Whitesnake doing Deep Purple tracks, you know. It's, I mean, it's David Coverdale. I like it. Do I like it as much as listening to David Coverdale with Deep Purple? No. All this does is really make me want to pull out Deep Purple. I don't know that I'll really revisit this that often. Like I said, I haven't watched the DVD yet, so I will definitely check that out. That may be cool. Musically, though, I mean, it all sounds good. It sounds like Deep Purple. So, Next up, this is a band I like when they came out. I just don't think they've evolved that much. I thought I was really gonna like this, and there's 1 or 2 songs on here I dug, but as a whole, this album just didn't do anything for me. This is Trust No More from DevilDriver. I've always liked Dez. I liked the stuff that he did with I can't even think of the name of his Coal Chamber. I haven't heard their newest album either, though, so that may suck too, you know. And I don't want to say this sucks. It's not a bad album. It just sounds like every other DevilDriver album. There's just nothing new on here. And I gave it 1 spin. I thought it was okay. I gave it another spin about a week later, and it was okay. If you're a hardcore DevilDriver fan and you're just happy hearing the same thing, then I would go pick it up. And then last but not least, just an absolute classic album. I saw this for $2.50. I already had a copy, but I was going to grab it anyway. I have an original copy. This is the remaster. So I grabbed it, and then I opened it up. $2.50, okay? Then I opened it up, and this is the limited edition. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of hard. On gold. It's a gold CD. And I mean, it's not super valuable. You know, usually they go for 12, 15 bucks, but to find it for a little over $2, just a killer deal. I've given this one a couple spins the last few days as well. It's just one of those albums you've got to pull out from time to time. But that's pretty much it, guys. Tell me what you think. I've got a bunch of stuff coming. I went to see Savage Master last night. I'll be doing a review of that show. I've got stacks and stacks of vinyl. I'm so far behind on my vinyl updates. I've probably got 2 or 3 videos worth of metal vinyl. I've had a couple people ask me for a country music update. I've got some country vinyl to show. And then I've probably got another 2 videos worth of miscellaneous vinyl. And probably another 6 dozen what's spinning. So a lot of stuff coming. I'm going to try to get on schedule, so I'm putting them out more consistently. I've kind of fallen off pace lately, and I've got a bunch of reviews to do. I've got 3 albums that were sent from record labels, and one of them's already sending me dirty emails because I haven't reviewed the album yet, and then just some other stuff I've picked up along the way as well. So a lot coming. Just keep watching. Take care, VC.